What's going on, everybody? My name is Pat of the New Score Podcast. Thank you all for listening. If you haven't yet, check out our most recent episode, Questions with a Fan, Philadelphia Eagles edition. We also got the latest on our NFL, NBA, NHL, and a little bit of college football. But this is an emergency podcast about the college football playoff. I've seen a lot online, people just not being happy. And it's just one of those things where every single year people aren't happy. It doesn't matter what happens. Nobody's ever satisfied with it. And that is at fault of them for making it a 4-team playoff instead of potentially 6 or 8 or 12. And now I know we're moving to 12 after this year. In my opinion, I think 8 is the magic number. I think 8 is good. I think 12 is too much. But my thoughts on the NCAA period, I think 95% of the time, I don't agree with what the NCAA decides to do in certain situations. And they've proven to be pretty inept over the years. But as far as the college football playoff and the teams that were selected this year, I don't understand why people are so upset. And let me run through this for everybody. So they can only select 4 teams, right? They can only select 4 teams. Michigan was ranked 2 going into this week after beating Ohio State. They're undefeated, and then they win their conference game yesterday. So that's an automatic bid. That's automatically 1, right? Michigan's 1. Now let's get to Washington, Oregon. Washington handles their business against Oregon as a 9.5-point dog. They go undefeated, win their conference in the toughest conference in the country this season, being the Pac-12. So Washington automatically in. That's 2 teams. We're already at 2 teams now. So you got Alabama, you got Georgia playing each other. And obviously Georgia's won 29 games in a row. But Alabama beat them. They beat them yesterday straight up. And head-to-head, that has to mean something. So Alabama gets in over Georgia, obviously. They're the SEC champion. You're not going to leave Alabama out after they just beat Georgia, the number 1 team. So Alabama's 3. So now we're looking at Georgia, Texas, and Florida State. How do you put Alabama in the Final Four and then not put the team that beat Alabama at Alabama? How does Texas not get in? If you're going to put Alabama in, if Alabama's getting in over Georgia after beating the number 1 team, how do you not put Texas in, who just dominated their conference championship and win? So they're in. Texas is in. So what do you expect the committee to do? Like, they can't. Georgia's out. They lost. They lost yesterday. They're out. Florida State, they go undefeated. Okay. They go undefeated. So everybody's like, what do wins and losses not mean anything? Kudos to Florida State, right? But how many times do we complain as viewers of college football, pro football, these primetime games? How many times do we sit there and we just think, damn, what a shitty game I'm watching right now? So you guys are telling me that you want that Florida State team with a second or third string quarterback to go and play Michigan or Alabama. That's what you want to watch after they just had to come back to win against Florida last week. And then they squeak by Louisville last night. You want to see that team play in the college football playoff? If Jordan Travis is out there, yes, Florida State's in. Regardless of how they looked yesterday, Jordan Travis is out there, in my opinion. But you're not putting that team with a backup quarterback in that game, especially over Texas, who won at Alabama. And then those other 3 teams, it's basically automatic bids being what they did with their season and the conference championship. So I'm not sure why people are so upset about this. I think it's just people like to be mad about everything these days. It feels like they just want to complain about something. And the backup quarterback thing, yeah, my Ohio State Buckeyes 2014, Braxton Miller goes down, JT Barrett goes down, Cardell Jones, our third string quarterback, is thrown in for the conference championship game. We also won that game 59-0. They beat Wisconsin, and Melvin Gordon, who was running for like 200 yards a week back then, they completely shut them out and won 59-0. Go back and look at that Ohio State team, and the product that you see in the NFL now with those guys. So Ohio State wasn't like, they just blew out Wisconsin in their conference title game. And it looked honestly like Cardell Jones was a better quarterback than Braxton Miller and JT Barrett then, because it was him out there, like, doing it. So people want to compare like that Ohio State team to this Florida State team. No, it's not even close. It really isn't. So shout out to Florida State though. I mean, they're the one Florida team down here where I'll like pull for as far as college goes. So I was rooting for them, to really do something this year. But once Jordan Travis goes down, they're just not the same team. And I don't understand why people want to see that team in the college football playoff. And then Georgia. Yes, it sucks that Georgia's not in, because I think Georgia is one of the best 4 teams. I mean, who's going to argue that, right? So that's why it's not okay to only have 4 teams, but you have to leave Georgia out after Alabama gets in, because those other 3 teams are locks with what they did. But that's my thoughts on it. And yeah, I hope we have a very competitive college football playoff, all 3 games, semifinals, and then a competitive championship. That's all I want as a fan. Hopefully Michigan doesn't pull it off. So there's that too. But thank you for listening. This is my emergency podcast on the college football playoff. Everybody have a good rest of your day.